I want to go on vacation 4 times a year. I want to buy a car. I don't really check my finances. You're watching Planet Happening.
Well, thanks for coming in, Nate. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself first, just tell us how old you are, where you're living, what your job is, just things like that.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to be on. I'm 24. I just moved to the city. I work at a large financial firm. I'm excited to learn more about my finances and financial health.
Awesome, cool. So what are you hoping to get out of today? Do you have like a specific financial goal that you're hoping to learn about, or you're just kind of generally interested in hearing about your finances?
Yeah, I think the first year of being in the city has just been sort of just got to pay the bills and not really focused on saving up. But now that I'm a little bit more established and trying to figure out my next steps, I think it would be important to sort of plan out the future. And so I would just like to get my finger on the pulse for what I should be spending and saving and all that stuff.
Awesome, very cool. All right, so how this show works is first, we're going to look at your last month's worth of spending, right? And I'll show you kind of what you've been spending on, the different categories, how you kind of should think about your spending and budgeting. Then we'll build your ideal budget, and then we'll have that flow into different financial statements. Companies track their financials using 3 big financial statements. How aware of this are you? Do you kind of know a little bit about corporate finance and like that? I know you said you work in a financial institution.
Yeah, a little bit, but I think for the purpose of this exercise, I think it would be helpful if you were to give like a refresher or just keep
Yeah, sure thing. All right, so the big 3 financial statements. First one is the income statement. That's kind of how you would think about like a normal budget or spending over time. Whereas you look at, here's how much you made in a certain time period, here's how much you spent, and then what you're left with is your net income. And then it's always kind of the decision of what do you do with that net income, which is the important part. The next one is the balance sheet, where that differs from the financial statements. You're looking at how much there is at each account at any point in time. So the income statement is just what's being spent here and there, but then it's how much is actually in each bank account at the end of each time period in the thing. The last one, which we're not going to be building for you here today, is a cash flow statement. And that's because, corporations, they're doing a lot of financial activities where it's like doing non-cash adjustments in the like different accounting adjustments, things like that. Go-to example is like amortizing out equipment purchases or something. They buy a building, that's a 20-year thing. They don't want to put the whole thing on their books all on the same day and say we spent $10 million on this building, and then it looks like they lost a ton of money that year. They want to spread out that building over its useful life. Whereas in your personal finances, you're not really doing those types of adjustments to your own books. So if you buy something like a computer or a house or whatever, you're going to put that spend there, but then you're kind of getting it back by like tracking the loan and things like that, right? So no cash flow statement, but we'll be building you an income statement and a balance sheet, and then we'll end it with your net worth and then checking in on your goal there. That all sound good?
Yeah, sounds great. I'm excited.
Awesome. All right. So if we go over up at the top right now, I was seeing about $95,000 come in gross, which translated to about $7,900 of salary.
Yep.
Putting taxes and whatnot on there, should be taking home about $5,000. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll break your expenses into 3 pieces. The first one will be your needs. These are things that you absolutely have to survive, right? So like your rent, groceries, all the basics will go into your needs. Then we'll cover your wants. So that's going out, having fun, going to restaurants, eating out, bars, all that good stuff. And then we'll end with the savings and debt. So starting with your needs, looked like what I could tell was grocery stores was you had about $400 on there.
Wow. Okay.
So, but it was 12 times. So maybe you're going very frequently, multiple times a week.
Yeah, there's a grocery store directly across from my apartment, so it's easy to go in.
Okay, cool. Cosmetics, I think that was a Sephora one on there.
It was, yeah.
I'll assume that was just for you. Your rent, I had at $1,600.
Yep.
And then utility is looking pretty high. I had that at $481.
Yeah, it was a hot month in my building, so I had the AC running a lot then. But yeah.
All right, so you'd say that abnormal. That's
I think
not
so.
a normal
Yeah,
month.
I hope so.
Okay, very cool. And then a little bit for parking and public transit, things like that. And then I included clothes and needs. Obviously, clothes could be wants or needs, but it's a keep it conservative. It's in needs for now. And then wasn't seeing any kind of like medical copays, prescriptions, things like that. I didn't see any phone bill. How much is your phone bill?
Phone bill, I'm actually on my family's plan, so I don't have to worry about that.
Okay, great.
Luckily enough.
All right. And then any pet food, things like that?
Actually, yeah. So I probably spend about $25 a month on cat food and litter.
Do you think that's in your groceries or do you
No,
have that
it's
separate?
separate usually, just because I order it from a website.
Okay, cool. We'll add that in. All right. So that puts your total needs at about 2,800 a month.
Yeah.
Right? Just bare minimum.
Okay.
Now, if we go down into your wants, a little bit of spending out at bars and restaurants, but the big one that was really jumping out to me was this golf here.
Yeah, I just recently got into it, and safe to say I'm quite addicted. I go probably at least once a week. Yeah.
6 times in a month. I'm very jealous.
Yeah. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
but maybe that won't be quite a normal month for the whole year assumption. So we can take a look at that.
Definitely
then.
not. Yeah, yeah. Especially with it being the summer, I think around October it'll start to die down.
Okay. Here, Amazon. I can't really tell what that is.
Sure.
Right. So, but not insubstantial there. Walmart, Target, Costco, things like that.
Yep.
Also put there. You know, that could be groceries. That could be clothes. That could be a lot of different things. And then anything I couldn't really tell what it was, but they're
Sure.
very small things. Restaurants, coffee, and then other. Oh, that I think you bought an espresso machine.
No, that was the amount I spent on coffee on pods.
Jeez.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Well,
But
those things ain't cheap. Okay.
It's $1 a pod really, so I'm good for the next like 2 or 3 months. But yeah, it's a tough one.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Well, you're not spending a lot at actual coffee shops, so that's good.
Sure.
All right. Uber, it's about 300 for the month. Not bad on a per ride basis, but it's
sure.
So adds up. And then anything Netflix, Spotify, all that good stuff coming in there, right?
One thing I wanted to call out was I'm considering the price difference between having a car in the city versus the Ubers, because if I were to have a car, I wouldn't be spending nearly as much on Ubers, but then I would have to pay for parking itself.
Yeah, if you're paying $20-$30 a day for parking, then like it's kind of the same thing as taking the Ubers, even though if you're going all the way from Brooklyn into Manhattan or something, like the Ubers can go over that $30 pretty easy, and that's just one way. So it's
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's rough. But with cars, you have the payment and the insurance, and like there's a lot that goes into it. So we can definitely take a look at that and see if we can squeeze it in.
Sure.
Right. But that puts your total wants at $2,700 for the last month.
Okay.
For your total expenses, needs, and wants at $5,500. And then you didn't have any debt, so you're not carrying credit cards or student loans or anything. That's really good. Mm-hmm. So nothing's going towards that. And so if you take your $5,500 take-home pay versus that $5,500 needs and wants, you're at a little bit of a deficit here of about $500 that we got to solve.
Okay.
So let's take a look and let's see what we want to do for the ideal month and then see what we can handle here. So I think one of the first ones, like we said, golf, that's more of a seasonal thing. We can kind of average that out over the year and assume it'd be more like $250 a month.
Yeah.
Or on the yearly average.
Sure.
That makes a nice dent in it. You want to commit to ordering fewer Amazon packages?
Definitely. There were a couple birthday gifts in there, so I could say I could definitely lower that by a lot. I know one item itself was around 350 or 300 or so, so that would definitely take a dent out of it, and that's probably a little bit more average.
Okay, so you think about 300 a month?
Probably 200.
200? Okay.
Yeah, I think I could do a little bit better.
Cool. Anything else that really stood out to you that we'd want to adjust?
Utilities, I think.
Yeah.
It's not going to be as hot in the summer, so AC won't be running. Probably closer to 350. Just at least for this next month, but maybe over the average. Hopefully, it'll be around 250.
Okay, if we're doing, let's say 300 for the year, is
Sure.
a better average.
Sure.
Let's go check in then. Your final. Now you're netting $300, $400 a month
Okay.
on that, right? Which New York is expensive, sure. Your rent's not super crazy. It's not the healthiest saving amount, right? Like I was cutting it pretty close on your income.
Sure.
So would you want to try to increase that a little more, or?
Yeah, I think
gonna-
Amazon I can definitely drop down. I think that's a lot of money to be spending every month. On, Amazon probably closer to $100 a month. Yeah.
Okay. So
And
keep
then
that.
I also think Uber. I think I should be a little bit more savvy there and try to cut it down to 200.
Sure.
And not that it means a ton, but I'm also unsubscribing to my music service soon because I have a credit card that's going to pay for the other one I'm joining, so I can get rid of that easily.
Sure.
And then, yeah, I mean, we go up and see a little bit more. I want to see what else I could cut down. Bars and drinks, that's not bad. Yeah, that looks about right.
Okay. So that puts your spending from last month at 5,500 to a normal month. We're saying we're more going for 4,300.
Yep.
And then you'd be left closer with $600 per month.
Excellent. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So now that we kind of have your normal gone out, let's put in some additional assumptions, right?
Sure.
Do you get any raises at your job?
Yep. Every year I'll get a raise and I'll also get a bonus.
All right. What do you think your raise will be percentage-wise?
3%.
3%. And when do you expect that raise?
Should expect that in February.
Cool. And then how much do you think your bonus is going to be?
Maybe about 15 to 20K.
Okay. And so you think you'll take home about half that after taxes and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. So we put that in, and let's keep that assumption going every year. So if you keep your spending perfectly constant, then that will increase that net income you have, that roughly 600 a month we had, closer to 800.
Okay.
And then after that, up to 1,000 in 2 years from now.
Okay.
So now I'd like to put in more of some like any one-off plannings, right? So I know you said you wanted to do some trips.
Yep.
You were hoping to maybe get a car or something like that. So is the
Yeah.
let's plan for these one-off events like that, like holidays and trips and things like that.
Sure. So right off the bat, I can tell you doing some travel in November. I know all in flights and hotel will be about 1,500. Yeah, 1,500.
Okay.
In addition to that, traveling again next year, probably closer in the springtime, so maybe May. And that will also be about $2,000 for everything. I'm also planning for the holidays and some birthdays, so between that, probably 750. And I guess I can sort of adjust it as needed, but I think that sounds probably a good amount to portion aside. Let me think what else. The car is more of a want than a need, depending on how much I have left over and if it's feasible. That might be something, but then I know that would add up with parking, and so that might not be feasible, which I'm okay with. It's really more of a luxury, so
Okay.
I'm curious to hear what you say about that.
Yeah. Well, we can put all this stuff in for now, and then check in on that kind of goal at the end and see if we could squeeze that in.
Yeah.
All right. So now we have your net income. Let's go into the next section where we kind of look how we would apply that to the different accounts, and then we'll move into the balance sheet. All right. So you very good spot where you don't have any debt.
Yep.
And so don't actually have any debt things to apply it to. Do you know how kind of interest on debt works and how that's calculated, how debt payments are calculated?
No, not really.
Okay, well, let's give you a quick example. So let's say you get a car here. And what kind of car are you looking at?
Probably like a 2015 Toyota Camry.
You know those are running for about $10,000.
Probably around there.
And you have no debt, things like that. If you've been saving a bit, I think you should have a pretty good credit score, stuff like that. You can probably get a pretty good rate, probably around 4 or 5%. Right?
Okay. Yep.
If we go over, you're starting with your $10,000 thing, and then your payment is made up of a few different pieces.
Okay.
So it'll be first what your interest rate is. Here we're saying 5%, and we'll divide that by 12 for the full year. Then we'll say how long is the loan. Ideally, the car loan's closer to 3 years, right? I know a lot of people have a hard time fitting into the budget. They'll spread them out to like 5 or 6 years sometimes. That can be really long. It's better to keep it to 3 or 4 years. So we can put it at 36 months for now. And then the present value is how much you're borrowing. So in this case, $10,000. So that would mean your payment is $300 a month.
Okay.
How that interest then is calculated is it takes the interest rate and it multiplies it by the balance of the loan at the time.
Okay.
So it'll say what's 5% of that $10,000. Mm-hmm. And then it takes that much out of your payment. So if you look at here over time, it's starting with the first month, you pay a $300 car payment.
Right.
$42 of that goes to interest. Your balance only goes down $250.
I see.
But by the end, your $300 payment, only $1 is going to interest, and the rest is paying off the balance.
I see.
Right?
Okay.
So it trends down over time. And so if you want to make extra payments and try to pay it off faster, the earlier you do it, the more impactful it is, because any extra payment is only going to principal.
Okay.
So that's what you're looking at. If you put $1,000 in the first month, that's going to save you then 3 or 4 months off the whole loan, versus if you did that down closer to the end, right? Because there's less interest that you're saving yourself on.
Right.
And over the course of the whole thing, you'd be paying $800 in interest on that 3-year loan. Okay. So that's how that works. We'll take that out for now. But here I have your net income flowing into here from the income statement. So here's how much you're left over with on every month. A normal month, it's that 500 growing to 700, growing to 1,000 after all your raises.
Yep.
But then there's some months where we know there's that travel, there's holidays, there's things like that, that is going to put you over. So you're going to be spending more on those months, less on others. And then there's times where you get your bonuses and things like that, where then like you have those bigger amounts there.
Yep.
So no debt for us to prioritize paying off. So then anything left over after we have that, we'll now decide what assets to apply this net income balance to each month.
Okay.
So for here, put in these initial assumptions you sent me for your checking. Get 2 checking accounts, one basically nothing in it right now. This other one more $8,000, and then this savings here at $10,000.
Yeah.
So this net income post the debt is coming in here. And you can see that. And so now we can choose where to put that on for each one.
Okay.
So generally for an emergency fund in your savings, they say 3 to 6 months of your needs.
Okay.
If your needs are about $3,000-ish, then like that's putting you closer to that like $10,000 to $20,000 range. You already have $10,000. So like that's kind of a low end of what I would want to see as like a safe savings amount there.
Okay.
But if you wanted a more padded emergency account, then like we could put a little more there first. But like that, it does meet the requirements of if you lost your job tomorrow, you could survive 3 months, no problem.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
It's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't want to add to the emergency fund right now?
Sorry, I misunderstood you. I would like to add a little bit more if that's feasible.
All right. So how much do you want to get it to?
Probably 15.
15?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then that'll take you to your next bonus. And then, so we'll take that, we'll put it on here, and then we'll put half your bonus on it. And then there you get to 15 by basically this coming February. So it's a few months.
Okay. Yep.
This also assumes when you take your trip in November and you have that holiday spending and stuff like that, that you might need to dip into these savings, right? So if you're not cutting back on going to bars or other things like that and blah, 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 and you just spend exactly the same amount every month, you would have to dip in about $1,000 on that month and $200 on that one.
Okay.
Okay. And this is assuming that you have your savings sitting at a high yield, you're making about 4%.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Very cool. And so now for the outer months after that, If you have a good amount just in that one checking account, which is good, you'll boost your savings up a little bit. I think then the best thing to do for the rest is then just put that in an investment account. Just try to grow it as aggressively as possible. Like, you're young, you have a good income. That's when you're going to get the best like compounding returns in the market, because you have that much more time for it to grow, right?
Okay.
So the sooner you get it in, the better.
Okay.
So if we then put all this into an investment account, and we assume that's kind of growing at a market average of 7 to 10%. So this is the low end. Putting all your additional savings, which would then be about $1,000 a month after those raises over the next year or two, that could grow over the next 3 years to almost $50,000.
Excellent.
Now, obviously, the market doesn't move in a straight line, but it's a rough approximation.
Sure.
So now we'll finish by going over to the balance sheet. So the balance sheet, this main simple equation is that your assets have to equal your liabilities plus your equity.
Yep.
And in just really simple terms, that's just everything you have, your assets, everything you own, have to be worth your debt plus your ownership share of those things.
Okay.
So here, it's a really simple equation for you, because you're starting right now with about $10,000 of assets. You have no outstanding liabilities. Mm-hmm. And so that means your net worth is $11,000 today.
Yep.
If you really diligently save that extra $600 to $1,000 a month over the next year, you could, within a year, save up $40,000.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah.
And then a year after that, 2 years out, it'd be closer to $70,000. And after that, you could hit $100,000 net worth in 3 years if you really diligently saved, didn't blow your bonuses on anything crazy, and really kind of stuck to your existing budget. So that, I think, is a really healthy spot to be in. I think once you're over that 50,000 mark, spending 10,000 on a car is not an irresponsible thing at all to do.
Really?
And yeah, no, I think like you would definitely be in a position to afford it. Even then, like, especially when you're over 100,000, that's a good spot to have. Like, if you wanted to start thinking down payment on a house, move out of the city, do anything like that, like,
sure.
It's a really nice nest egg there to have. So you'd be in a really healthy spot.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on. If you have any more questions, let us know. And if you would like your own personal financial model, please apply to the email in the description. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.